Hello, hello. Are we working? I don't know. All right. So I thought I'd do this tonight. I really didn't have any plans. Plans change. I don't know where I want to start. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. So last week I was kind of bored, and I think it came up in my feed or my notifications that the Transatlantic show, which is a offshoot, I guess, of the line with usually Matt Dillahunty and Jimmy Snow. And I kind of got in the chat and said something. I was never rude. I'm always try to be polite in these things, because if they get upset, then they've ruined their position, in my opinion. And I was having a discussion with somebody, and because they said that they said, well, how do you determine male from female? And I said, it's all about gametes. So that's the only way. And they said they don't do that. And I said, well, you're either lying, or we're born with a condition, which is rare, so I doubt that, or you got your parts removed. And they said, I'm not. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? I'm not lying. And I said, okay. But then the mod stepped in and said, what are you doing? Why are you saying these things? Okay, well, I'm not being rude. And I was immediately put in timeout, and they said, why don't you just call in next week? So I was like, okay. So despite the fact I was not rude, I was put in timeout because I was just saying things that they disagree with, which are science-based. So I did call in. I kind of didn't want to, but I thought, well, I got to give them a shot. And I was very clear when I said what I requested. I said, I want to challenge your views and the trans movement. It's exactly what I said. Because a lot of times they get people in there and they go, oh, you were dishonest. No, I want to challenge your views. So Matt was in the, hey, I got the discussion here. All right. If you want to come on, let me know. What's up? So Matt was in the chat today, and I'll get to it in a second. But he said something that I just thought was so arrogant and sexist. And I essentially said so, not in so many words. But he immediately said, what are you talking about? You better think carefully about your next answer. And of course, the mod muted me again. He's like, you're extremely lucky that she put you on timeout, because I was going to ban you. Really? For what? And so I went back and researched it. But I wanted to listen to this because, like many people, once the online community really started, especially with YouTube and Facebook, so we'll say I think Facebook came, I don't know when, I got on in 2008. But, this people started getting names for themselves. And one of the earliest names was the Atheist Experience. And I actually really didn't listen to the early years. I kind of regret it, because I used to be a big D&D player, and Jeff D, who used to draw for pretty much the original D&D stuff, he was on it. He hadn't been on there in a decade. So I kind of regret it. But anyway, I had a friend, probably about 2012, said, have you ever heard of the atheist experience? And I said, no. And he told me about it. He's like, oh, there's this one guy named Matt. He's really good. So I started listening to it. And yeah, at the beginning, I was, impressed, and hearing arguments and having him address things. And now I've studied the history of Christianity, and I studied the historical Jesus a lot, and some counter apologetics, but I really wasn't too involved in it in the early aughts. And then when I got on Facebook, I started getting more involved. And so anyway, listened to Matt for a while. But over the years, as I personally started trying to learn more about philosophy, and also learning about how you actually win a debate, if it's a scored debate, that Matt's pretty poor. Matt is pretty poor at it. And it's a lot of rhetoric, and it's a lot of bullying, and it's a lot of arrogance. Let me read to you. I won't say their name. I don't think they would care if I said their name, but I'm not going to say it. But this person has a degree in philosophy, and I asked him about Dillahunty once, and I said, why? What's your issue with him? And he said, well, he's a shit debater. And I said, well, anything specific? And he said, there's an entire professional dialectic on the subject he takes up, and he ignores them entirely to make shit up. He uses rhetoric rather than reason. So I've been getting into this one guy who is a debate teacher. He is a Christian, but I think he's pretty fair-minded. And, okay, how do I do that, Scott? There we are. Okay, I copied it. So he's pretty fair-minded, I think. So I will. I've listened to a few of his commentaries. So Scott, I've never done this before, so if I'm not doing it correctly. I've listened to the one this guy covers about when Matt debated Andrew Wilson, and he says Matt shouldn't have ran, and he says, Matt needs to clarify his terms. He didn't do that, and he had some criticism for Andrew, especially in representing Christianity and his debate thing. So let me play this, Scott, and then I'll put you in. So anyway, and also I was really interested in what he said about Shelley Kagan versus William Lane Craig, because most people say that's at least the one debate that William Lane Craig lost, and he agreed. He said Kagan won. So I think he's pretty fair-minded. So this is Winger versus Dillahunty. He never covers the entire debate. He just does like a half hour, and here's what he says.
Yeah, and this is a prime example of what I objected to in the opening. The way that you go about phrasing things is, and I apologize, but considering I've already been called on the carpet for zombies, sloppy. Because when you ask me about, are you familiar with the medical research involved with the piercing of Christ? The answer is there is none. If instead it would be, do you understand what the reason for that might have been, or what the explanations for why there might have been blood and water? Yes, of course I've heard about those things, and it would not have been that remarkable. It reminds me of...
There is a authoritarian, paternalistic style here that I think Dillahunty trades on, whether he does this on purpose or not. He even is looking down his nose, literally, at his interlocutor. And it builds ethos, because when you speak with an authoritative tone, I mean, people who are swayed by that will go, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And so when I correct you because when you said medical evidence, like, but what was you wasted precious seconds in order to like just answer the question.
But I am intentionally precise and pedantic when I can be, because I understand that the sloppy phrasing is what allows us to smuggle in things. It's what allows us to say, oh, well, there's all this evidence, when what we're really talking about is mundane things that just are, hey, this occurred in this time period. Crucifixion was real. Stabbing was real. Yeah, I know all that.
There's something I really want to get after, which has nothing to do with evidence, and I think it's actually at the core of Matt's objections. Matt, I've watched every video I could find of yours.
Talk about his epistemology. Talk about his epistemology.
I'm legitimately sorry.
On your atheist debates project, your interactions on atheist experience, and your debates with guys like Junta and like Hona and all that. So let's suppose that Jesus did what you suggested, and he came right now today, and he was killed in an electric chair, and scientifically confirmed that he was dead, and then he came back to life. Would you then believe God exists and that God had raised Jesus from the dead?
No.
Oh, a very cleverly crafted question. No. Would I believe that Jesus was now alive again? Yes. And that was the thing that I was going to conclude my opening with, was even if we establish the resurrection, we still don't know why or how it happened. That is an explanation that has to come secondary. You're right. This does get to the core here, because if Jesus had done the things that I said would be the best way to demonstrate it, I'm not even sure that would necessarily be sufficient to convince me of a resurrection. It may be. When I say that I'm not sure what would convince me, I'm being honest, and I'm not saying nothing would convince me.
If he doesn't know what rises to a certain level that passes his criteria for his particular epistemological method, how does he know that he hasn't seen it? I take it because of his positivism, he is somebody who touts the scientific method. Well, the scientific method, one of the fundamental components of that is falsifiability. So can he falsify his own methodology? And if the answer is he can't, then what is he doing?
It's me of a resurrection. Maybe, possibly, probably, even very likely, had I had access to that actual evidence, and rather than just reportings of that evidence. But
wood blocks are an innovative creation by our team. Wooden dovetail joint blocks inspire.
My reason for raising that wasn't to show that this would also be unbelievable, or this would be what would be believable. It's to show that God picked a time to do this where none of that is available. And that is stupid.
Yeah, but what is that? None of what? He doesn't know what would count as evidence. So if God literally came down now, let's say Jesus didn't show up 2,000 years ago. Jesus showed up now, started his 3-year ministry, performed miracles. Matt Dillahunty is what? He's going to explain these things away as some kind of naturalistic phenomenon, because his criteria does away with the supernatural altogether. And he doesn't even know what would count as evidence for a supernatural divine being anyway. That's what he just said. So then what does it mean that, well, God did it at a time where it can't be verified? You have set the bar so high that it could never be verified. Which debate, wearing multiple hats, but to sort of focus on what it would take to convince Dillahunty at the end there, it doesn't matter. A debater is not supposed to be convinced. And I mean, that's not their job. Is supposed to make arguments, and the audience is supposed to be convinced. And so really, this is given the effect of this debate for Matt to just have like 3 different hats. And he's just basically been putting them on and taking others off. So on the one hand, he's a debater when it's useful to him. But then when he gets pressed a little bit, he takes his debater hat off and he puts on his judge hat. Well, that's not evidence. And I can just dismiss that away because that's not evidence. It doesn't rise to my level of epistemological standards. And then you can take that hat off and then put an audience hat on and say, well, I'm not convinced at the end of the day because then I don't even know what it would take me to convince me. Wow. I'll tell you what, this debate was really frustrating. And it was frustrating because I could see that Mike Winger did a lot of prep and he came to have a particular kind of debate. Dillahunty was not interested in debate. He came in as a rhetorician in the style of a Christopher Hitchens. And if you've seen the other videos with Christopher Hitchens against his other Christian interlocutors, Christopher Hitchens would never actually substantively try to refute any of the arguments that the Christians made, in which means that he automatically lost the debates, and so did Dillahunty. And Dillahunty, it's like he's not even aware that that's what happened. because Dillahunty did not substantively address any of the arguments that Winger made, well, then that means that he automatically loses.
Yep.
And then this exercise in Crossfire was just an exercise in frustration because Dillahunty was trying to wear all these multiple hats. And I'm sure Winger at the end of it was tremendously frustrated. Winger won the debate, but probably not by a whole lot. I mean, really what it boiled down to was the fact that Matt Dillahunty did not substantively address any of Winger's arguments. But maybe you should take a look at the fuller debate. I'm going to leave the link to it in the show notes below. And you tell me, who do you think won the debate? Let me know in the comments if you want me to react to a specific debate. Let me also know that in the comments below. I really hope that this blessed you somehow and that you have some more tools to be able to get out there and evaluate arguments on your own.
Okay, he didn't. I must have missed it. But he, the debate teacher, said debating Dillahunty is a waste of time. And I agree, it is. With that said, I will be challenging Dillahunty to a debate. I don't think he will accept, but I will debate him once under certain conditions on the trans issue. All right, let's welcome Scott. What is up, man?
How's it going, man? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man, Matt Dillahunty seems to me to be a real hothead.
Yep.
And he doesn't like to be questioned, and he's all about winning from the very top of the discussion. He doesn't really want to have a discussion. And I kind of file him away into a category I call a low bar perspective. Because even though I might agree with a lot of what he says, and what makes it low bar rather than high bar is anytime you have a perspective that can't be questioned or can't be challenged, or that has to kind of like devolve into this shaming or name calling or stuff like that. Those are for me, those are red flags for low bar perspectives or opinions.
Exactly. And that's why when like I said in my introduction, when I got on the line today, that tried to stay calm, not insult anybody, but I tell you what, the chat was full of insults, and Arden lost it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I've seen it. Sometimes I binge watch. I binge watch a lot of atheist shows, anyways, and I just like to see the way that people sort of debate ideas like theism versus atheism. And one thing that's kind of turned me off with like the atheist experience and now the line with Matt Dillahunty and is that it gets so dogmatic and so close-minded. It's almost like even if you're right, maybe, according to a lot of people, even if you're correct, you shouldn't have to, lower your standard of argumentation to that level. It's like not
Right.
necessary. And it doesn't do anything to kind of push your message. It kind of just sort of promotes an echo chamber, if anything,
Yep. Darn, I lost my spot. I had the line queued up, and I wanted to see if I could. I wanted to see if I could find the transcript, so I could find the spot I wanted. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I had a really good conversation the other night. I was on this other show, which is called Chat with an Atheist, and a Christian called in, and we were having a conversation, and it went extremely well. It was very laid back. It was and the guy actually agreed with me on a lot of points, and which I feel like, is a win for everybody. It's like it didn't devolve into name calling, shaming, this sort of, it's not helping anybody to do that.
No.
And just, be cordial. And let's look at our epistemology first of all. Let's figure out what method are we using to come to our conclusions.
Right.
Like that way, it takes the emotional aspect of it maybe out of the picture, right?
Yeah. Well, this is very hard apparently for trans supporters and trans persons to talk about calmly.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the funny thing is I have a trans friend from the UK, and I've actually gone on her show to give input, kind of like show up, kind of show support. And it's not that I agree on everything. But one of my main problems is how it kind of turns into a semantical issue. Like the semantics of it all, it sort of goes into chaos. It's like, well, if a woman can be a man and a man is a woman, then it just loses all of its meaning.
Right. Exactly.
And then it's kind of hard then to talk about, women and men in any kind of meaningful way. For me, it's a free speech issue too. Like, I may understand that if a person wants to be, addressed as a he or a she or whatever the case is, I may do that, out of just common respect. And, I don't want to be a mean person,
Yeah.
but I also don't want to be bullied into, I have to do it.
Right.
Because it's the truth and whatever you think is not the truth. Like now we're actually talking about something different. Like now you're kind of saying that if you don't believe this or that, you're a bigot. And that may not be the case. I may not be coming at it from that point of view. It may be the way I understand things, and not necessarily that I'm a bigot,
Right. Yeah, exactly that. What I've tried to work on is, and it's funny, they always make the assumption when I say, no, I'm not going to use your pronouns. They make the assumption I'm going to call them by their sexual pronouns.
Yeah.
But no, what I do is I just use their name,
Right.
Like
right.
you read my description. I said, Arden did this and Arden did this and Arden did this. I didn't say he, she, I just said, and because, this really hit me. I was pretty fine. My daughter is very pro-trans, and I was okay with using pronouns at the beginning. And one day I was over at a friend's house, and he has a gender fluid daughter, and I made the mistake of saying we play board games, and she plays, or they play, and I said, "Oh, it's her turn." She's like, "There's no boys down here, buddy," and just very rude. And I'm thinking, I've known you since you were 8, and I'm almost 60 years old. You shouldn't be talking to me like that. And my friend didn't say anything. If that were my daughter or my child, I would have said, well, I may not have said right then and there, but I would have pulled them aside later and said, look, that was very rude. You need to understand that some people are older and they can't keep track of all this, and it's harder for them. We're set in our ways. And that's when I really just started thinking about all this and where it was going. And I was really unaware of trans women entering female bathrooms. I mean,
yes.
I mean, I was aware of it, but I was aware of it when somebody is actually having the operations to fully transition, because they have to live for a year doing all the woman things. And so I didn't have an issue with that. But now I'm finding out they're just guys who are saying, I'm female, and they have no intention of going through the process. And they're just going to go in women's restrooms. And I know men, they're still men.
It's so funny. I had a conversation with somebody at a bar, a guy that, I work at a hospital, right? I work at a Catholic hospital. And sometimes we have trans people come into the hospital, and one of the guys was there, and we were talking at the bar, and he goes, yeah, I know where you work at. He goes, and I'll tell you something, he was kind of like a progressive type liberal guy, and he was like he was telling me, look, he goes, I almost had a problem with a trans guy because I brought my daughter to the hospital and she was in the bathroom and I was just waiting outside the door. And then this guy comes walking up and he's looking like he's going to enter the bathroom, the women's room. And my daughter's in there. She's just a young girl, young teenager. And he was like, look, man, my daughter's in there, you know. And the guy turns around and says, yeah, but I identify as a female. And, you know, and he goes, the thing is, he goes, I'm a very progressive guy. I'm always supporting LGBTQ rights online. I'm very vocal about it. He goes, but I'll be honest with you. I never thought I would face that problem in real life. So when it really came down to it, my daughter's in the room and there's a man trying to go in there.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I'll be honest with you. I had a real problem. And I actually physically stopped that guy from going into the bathroom. And I told him, look, if you go in that bathroom, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And it became a big problem. And he goes, and it really, you know, messed with my head because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to have these kind of values. But as it turns out, I guess when the rubber hits the road,
Yep.
I guess I kind of understand where the conservative folks are coming from now.
Yeah. And,
You know,
no, I don't think anyone's trying to say, oh, every trans woman is going to rape somebody. No. But it's the same example of me just happen to be going the same way, and I'm 20 feet behind a woman, and her being concerned. You know, she's not thinking every man's out to get her, but she's got to have that in her head so she's prepared.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I know that, and I'm not taking offense to it. I know I'm not going to hurt her, but I'm not going, oh, how dare you think that about me?
Right. You know, exactly. It's like, you know, it's almost like a understood rule. You know, it's like an unspoken understood rule. You know,
Right.
It's a respect thing. Like I would never get in a female space because I'm a male. I understand the dynamic. I understand how things can go and how they shouldn't go that way. And even though I know to myself I'm not that person, I'm not going to ever do anything wrong. You know, it's just not cool.
Yeah.
And
They don't
I
know that.
realize that, and they don't know that. And you should really, it's just an unspoken understanding, I think, among human beings, you know, especially in our culture. And for Matt Dillahunty to kind of be so judgmental about people who express this to him, I think is just sort of like virtue signaling.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just his way of being a bully. And I've just really lost a lot of respect for Matt. Did you see that debate he had? I can't remember the Christian's name off the bat, but the guy started going in about trans stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt just got up and left the debate, like he stormed off.
Yeah, Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, Andrew Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that went to his favor. I think
No.
it showed that he was just, you know, too emotional.
Like I said, if you I put it in the comments, a link to that video of Winger versus Dillahunty. But that same guy has a playlist where he talks about debates, and he talks about that one. He said, I said I would never do another Matt Dillahunty debate again, but I'll do this one. And yeah, he agrees. He says that Matt shouldn't have left. If that were an actual scored debate, Matt would lose.
Absolutely. And yeah, I know the Christian guy, the debate coach guy that you're talking about. I love his videos, even though I don't agree with him on his worldview, maybe. But
right.
You know what I mean? Like he's got some really valid.
Yeah, I mean he criticizes both sides.
Yep.
And I don't know if you were here, but I watched the one of Shelley Kagan versus William Lane Craig. He says Kagan won.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. There's another video that's really funny. Another guy that's that gets under Matt's skin is this guy named Pine Creek Doug. Are you familiar with that guy?
I know Pine Creek.
You know the little thing he does with AI. He changes. Yeah, he changes like whenever Dillahunty says trans, he changes the word to God.
Yeah.
And compares like now you're and he does like a before after sort of comparison, like you don't believe things just on your feelings, you believe things because you have evidence that you can show to other people, not just to yourself. So then he goes in and talks about trans and
Yeah.
How it's, and it's just very inconsistent. He's kind of highlighting the inconsistency,
Yeah, Doug's pretty good with those videos.
Yeah.
I'd actually seen it a long time ago, and then you sent it to me, but it was fun to watch again.
Yeah, yeah, I did send it to you, didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you want to watch my glorious
Yeah.
job I did on the line?
Absolutely. Let's see it, man.
Let me first I wanted to get to, I hope it lines up the chat, but where Matt basically says, well, you can rape anybody with anything in prison. So as if that's going to excuse a trans woman, which has happened, raping women in prison. Oh, I got to share this first.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it lines up what I said to him, because he threw a hissy fit. Here we go. Is that showing up?
Yes, I can see it.
Oh, there we go. All right. Still learning all the intricacies of these things.
In the most condescending way, but J.K. Rowling will say, dress how you please, whatever, whatever. But when it comes to like sex segregated spaces, like bathrooms, locker rooms, prisons where trans people are, if they're put in the wrong prison system and they have anatomy that can experience the same sexual assault that any other woman can be assaulted with, right? Like, quality of life matters, of course. I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is that, like, when it comes to how we categorize people into sex segregated spaces, it's, I think, really important also to prioritize, like, these developmental outcomes, because, someone can have a higher quality of life. That doesn't necessarily mean that they should be reclassified as a biological female in principle, right? But, like, if a person has a dominant morphological alignment with female biology, meaning that, like, all right, on a species level, sure, like, biological sex classification is that if you produce large gametes, you're a biological female, right?
Okay, there it is. If you can see it on the side, it says Matt Dillahunty. I was kind of happy.
Yeah, read it because
chat.
I can't really see
Yeah,
it.
he says, so in response to what that woman said, he says, what anatomy could someone have that cannot be sexually assaulted in other men's or women's prisons? So basically what he's saying, well, women have hands. They could use that.
Mm-hmm.
They have feet. But he's ignoring the fact that men are way more likely to commit violent acts than women.
Yep. That's right.
So I say something to him.
Right. Well, why do we consider women
know exactly where?
Completely outside the standard deviation.
Yeah, there he is. Okay. So I said something to Matt. If I can find, I said, way to make women insignificant by saying anyone can be graped. I say grape to avoid those flags.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, excuse me? And he's like, let's hope you're just terrible at joking or not a dishonest interlocutor about to be banned. He immediately jumps to that.
Yeah. So
And,
insecure.
So the other mod put me in timeout, and Matt was like, oh, you better be glad she did that because I'll get ready to ban. You're lucky. I'm like, what? Okay. I don't get to be muted anymore or what? So here we are. So yeah, I actually got fast tracked. I was one of the later people to call in, but I got fast tracked. So here we go.
Okay.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
been 20 years.
Okay. Got to do the ads, otherwise.
Is of a simple.
That means
They really want to make you pay for no ads, don't they?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was watching that debate teacher guy, and I actually commented on one of his things because Pine Creek Doug kind of indicated to me that they can kind of set that. But within 8 minutes, I had 3 commercial breaks.
Wow.
All right, so here we are.
but Logan, you are live. Go for it.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing all right.
And I really want you to be honest. Just be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me when I'm rude. Tell me if I ever insult them. Just let me know.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I've forgotten. I know Arden, but the other host name is Jose?
Josie.
Josie?
Josie.
Okay.
Josie, yes.
Okay. Well, I think, did I hear you say earlier that you don't think that a biological man should be placed in prison with women? Or
I
no?
don't believe that a trans woman should be entered in a prison with with men, yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Oh, no, I missed that.
How about a biological man in a women's bathroom?
I
So-
believe that trans women should be able to use the bathroom.
I'm sorry, you do or you?
Wait a minute.
I do
missed
believe that trans women should be women.
Well, I think the
Trans woman should be entered in a prison with with men. Yes.
biological man should be placed in prison with women. Or
I
no?
don't believe that a trans woman should be entered in a prison with with men. Yes.
Oh, I missed that. I thought she said the reverse. I was kind of nervous. So I missed that. So that's on me. But oh well.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
No, that's
how
not
about
good.
Yeah, it's not good.
Biological man in a women's bathroom.
I
So-
believe that trans women should be able to use the bathroom.
I'm sorry, you do or you?
I do believe.
Was that
trans
an answer
women
to my
should be able
question?
use the bathroom
No,
that
not at all. Not at all.
they best identify with. Yes.
Okay.
You understand what I mean by trans women, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yes,
about to
okay.
ask. Okay.
But I'm
Okay,
trying to keep it. I'm about biology.
Well,
So
yeah,
am I.
not
That's why I
really.
say trans woman, because as a trans woman, I am saying, when I say a trans woman, I am saying that a person who is assigned male at birth, biologically a male at birth, who identifies as a woman is a trans woman. So I am being more biologically accurate than you are.
I'm sorry. Could you say that one more time? Because you lost me.
Okay. No, it's okay. It's fine. So I am a trans woman, and I said this at the beginning of the show. That means that I know that I was born and assigned male at birth, meaning that I am biologically a male at birth, but I identify as a trans woman. So therefore, because I identify as my gender as woman, I am a trans woman. So therefore, I am acknowledging the biological fact that I was assigned male at birth, but I am also acknowledging that my gender is woman. So the correct biological term for me is a trans woman because I am not a man.
I also
So I'll read the chat to you. You got Matt Dillahunty here saying, quote unquote, I'm about biology, spoken by someone who doesn't understand that biology isn't relevant to which bathroom you use. And of course,
What?
yeah, biology is not relevant to which bathroom you use. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I can pee standing up. How about you?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and somebody said Logan probably rejects evolution. So yeah, they probably assume I'm a theist.
Oh yeah, of course. That's the thing. Yeah.
Oh, we got Arden jumping in now.
I want to ask Logan, what does biology have to do with prisons or bathrooms?
Well, the bathrooms are designated based on sex.
Are they?
And
Because trans women have
yes,
used
they are.
bathrooms for your entire life, women's bathrooms.
Well, that's between you and women. But I do know that there's a lot of women that do not want a penis in their bathroom.
So first of all, not all trans women have penises, but second of all,
That's true.
what if it's about sex? What measures are being taken in bathrooms that you go into to evaluate your sex? Because I've never been stopped when I've entered a bathroom and asked anything about my sex. I've never been scanned by anything to evaluate my sex. What role has sex played in bathrooms you've been in? Because I've never seen a bathroom that's evaluated sex.
Yeah.
It's called male and female.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's not what I
so
asked you. That's not what I asked
Yeah,
you, though.
that's not the question was.
I would like you to answer what I asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear what I asked you?
Repeat it one more time.
Okay, so you weren't listening, but I asked you, what bathrooms are you entering where sex has any role in access to the bathroom? Because I have never entered a bathroom where biological sex has played any part.
All of them.
All of
What do you
them.
mean? So you
How?
have to,
Are you getting your penis checked? Are you?
Ooh, more comments. Logan's a misogynist. Logan, I'm about biology. That's why I always carry around microscopes to check chromosomes. I never mentioned chromosomes.
What? Good God.
Not all cis men have balls, right, Logan? Logan, I don't give a shit if I share a bathroom with a trans man. Neither do I. I don't even care if I share bathrooms with cis men. I've been in plenty of bathrooms with drag queens. So have I.
You getting a stereotype?
No,
Are you getting scanned? So
I'm an.
wait. Hold on, Logan. I'm trying to get to the point. Okay, we're gonna get there.
See, she won't let me get to my point, which
Right.
is
Not at all.
integrity.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Integrity.
There.
Okay.
We're gonna get there together. I believe in you. So when you enter bathrooms, you said you're not getting scanned. So you are just walking into the bathrooms and using them?
Right.
So there's nothing regarding sex that has had anything to do with your access to bathrooms. Your entire life, your access to bathrooms has been purely social. You walked in and you went pee or took a shit and nobody asked you anything about your sex. You can say no, but you've already admitted there's been no inspection of your sex at any level when you've entered the bathroom. So you've already conceded that part. I don't know how you could possibly say no.
No, because I am a man. I was born a man. I've always been a man.
You
I don't
identify.
identify.
That doesn't have anything to do with
no.
Did you hear that?
No,
You
yeah,
identify.
You identify, right. This is where the problem comes in.
No, I don't identify as a man. I just
You are
am a man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just are a man. Exactly.
Just because you say you're a man doesn't have anything to. That doesn't tell me how you were evaluated. Your sex was evaluated when you accessed the restroom. You said you had to access restrooms based on sex. How? How has it been evaluated?
How?
I'm an honest person.
That's not an answer to my question.
That's not an
Why,
answer.
Logan, why is it that you can't answer a direct question? What is that?
Semantic
Can you help me
games.
understand what's going on there?
Yeah. The reason is I think it's a stupid question. It really is. It has nothing to do with what I was saying. More things in the chat. Let's see. Matt Dillahunty. Quote, I don't have an answer because I don't understand, but I think it should be illegal. Logan, what the hell? Never said it should be illegal. I actually think I said it is illegal, which turns out I'm kind of wrong on that. There are actually it depends on states. But they pointed out later, and yeah, I did search, and it depends on states. I don't know what it is Kentucky, but I do kind of address that later with them. Let's see what else is. Logan's thick. Logan's ignorant and bigoted. Does Logan have segregated bathrooms in his house? And I mean, well, that's kind of a good one. and I mean that both in gender and race sense. Okay. Something in the chat, they Arden or Josie actually asked.
Has it been evaluated? This is just a pointless discussion, okay?
Logan, you made a claim. You made a claim. I'm trying to Logan.
Okay, let me
Logan,
talk.
listen, Logan. No, Logan.
No.
You're on our show. You made a claim. I want you to substantiate your claim. How have you been evaluated? How has your sex been evaluated when you've entered bathrooms?
This is a troll. Logan is quite insecure. Matt Dillahunty quoting, putting words in my mouth. I'm a man, so nobody sees to check me. I'm an honest person. No, you're fucking not. They're saying they're honest people. So I can't say I'm an honest person, but they can.
Right. And see, the problem is they don't want to have a discussion. They really don't. They want to shut you down and just overwhelm you with these dumb questions to just keep you like, what? Confused because it's such a dumb question, instead of just kind of meeting you where you're at, like where you're really coming from.
Right.
And trying to understand that part and then break it down, but they can't do that. And so they just have to ask these dumb questions.
Yep. Just tell me if you ever want to pause it when I don't. So.
If you don't want to participate on our show, you don't have to. But if you're going to call into our show, you're going to answer questions. That's the whole point.
He asked.
Part of my problem was I was also reading the chat.
Yeah.
So I would get distracted. I need to stop that habit.
Exactly. Right.
When I participate in the discussion, at least.
Because it's going to be really hateful. Because you got to understand that is an echo chamber.
Yeah.
So just understand you're going to the lion's den when you call into these shows. So that's probably a good idea.
Matt Dillahunty, it's a pointless discussion. That's entirely your fault, Logan.
What does evaluated mean?
Yes, I did.
How anyway you'd evaluate sex? Did they look at your genitals? Did they take a karyotype? Did they scan your brain?
No,
What happened?
No one is checking what's in my pants.
Okay, so to be clear, you just entered a bathroom and nobody evaluated you in any capacity.
Correct.
Right. So that is a social enforcement mechanism. There was no biology relevant at any stage in that process. People looked at you and assumed you were a man based on social cues and did not object to you entering the bathroom. Yeah. Oh, it's not. Oh, so you're saying other people evaluated your sex? Other people who watched you go in. How did they do that?
Arden.
Logan, why don't you answer my questions? I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. No, you didn't because you're sick. No, you didn't because you have to understand. So I'm going to mute you so we can make sure this gets across very clearly.
So this is an example of low bar opinion in conversation.
Right.
So what she's trying to do here is control the conversation. So this is a tactic. This is a way to really keep you from expressing your point, because the only reason they would do that is because they know that there's a chance you're going to come up with a really good defeater at some point. And so they have to control that conversation to keep that from happening on their show.
Yep. Indeed they do. And it's the same thing Matt does. She's learned from the best.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That when you access bathrooms, it is an evaluation of your biology. And when asked to present how your biology was evaluated in order to access those restrooms, you said there was no evaluation, that you simply just used the restroom, that is a social enforcement. You entered the bathroom and nobody evaluated you at any stage along the process. Then when pointed that out, that is the conclusion of what you're saying. You say no. So if it's a no, your next words, when I unmute you, I'm going to do that in a second, you'll hear a beep, that's you're unmuted. You can either concede that you don't access restrooms based on biological sex, or you can tell me the enforcement mechanism that was evaluating your biological sex. This is really simple. This is a binary situation. You are unmuted. Go for it.
Okay. Yes, it is enforced.
How? I asked you how.
Okay. If I walk in, now you can't see me, but I am a man. If I walked into a women's restroom, they would immediately call the cops.
No, you're not going to answer the question.
Oh,
Logan, Logan.
I am literally answering the question of how it is enforced. If I walked, especially where I worked at UPS, I'm retired. If I walked into the women's restroom, trust me, I'd have been fired. There would not be a hesitation. Even if I said I identify as a woman, I would have been fired.
Yep. No question.
And I'm literally answering the question, and she's like, no, you're not. Oh, Matt asked, Logan, when Arden walks toward the women's restroom, exactly what you think should happen and why? Well, I didn't see that, Matt, but I doubt you're watching this. But Matt, Arden, I know Arden still has a penis. I've seen Arden's porn videos. Arden needs to have some integrity and go in the men's restroom. Because I tell you what, Josie I knew Josie was trans. But if I saw Josie on the street, Josie would fool me for a while.
Right.
But as I was talking to Josie, more and more verbal indications came out that Josie is a biological man. Arden, I can tell right off by the fake voice, the structure of their face, their height. I've seen pictures of her with Matt. She's bigger than Matt.
Oh yeah, and there's certain questions that kind of bring your points to light. It's like, if asked, would you date a trans woman if you knew she used to be a male? Most people would say no.
Correct.
And so would that make them a bigot?
Well, they say it is.
Right.
I've been binging a lot. You talk about binging things. I've been binging a lot of videos. Most of them are in Britain. This seems to be a pretty hot topic over in Britain. And there are lesbians that say they've been harassed because some guy comes along and says, I'm a woman, they say, well, okay, but I don't want a penis. Oh, well, you're transphobic. No, I'm not attracted to penises. And they've been harassed, and I think some of them have actually been beat up because of, they don't want a penis, Don't come to the lesbian bar. You're not a lesbian.
Right. And it's inconsistent,
Yeah. Let's see what else she has.
Logan, so I'm going to mute you again because you don't seem to understand how logic works. And I'm sorry that somebody filled your head with lead when you were a baby, but that's not my problem. You came in here claiming that your access to spaces has been based on your biological sex. And when asked to present how that's happened, you've said, I'm a man. I walked in. If I walked into the women's restroom, they would call the cops. Those are social enforcement mechanisms. Those have nothing to do with your biology. They're not unrelated to your.
They would call the cops because I'm a biological man.
Right. Right.
I mean, even assuming, let's just say I look the same way I am, and I've seen some pretty manly women, Let's just say I look like I am, but I actually am biologically a female, but people didn't know me and I just looked this way and I walked into the women's restroom, I think they would still call the cops.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Logan is super gross. You're a fucking man, Logan.
Biology completely. Obviously, biological men are going to have traits that make them look like men more often. That's just obvious. Nobody is refuting that. Not a single trans activist is disputing that cisgender males look like men most of the time. I'm asking you to present evidence for your point. And so I'm going to take you off mute again. And if you refuse to answer the question, I'm going to let Josie take over, and then I'm done with you because...
So as soon as she said that, I'm done with Arden. Like, fine. Let me talk to Josie.
Right. You're not being honest and answering the questions.
You're not answering honest questions, Arden.
Exactly.
So you were unmuted.
Please
so you can either concede or demonstrate. Logan, I don't give a fuck how confrontational you think I am. You can take your feelings and shove them up your ass because you made a factual claim. You can either concede that you were wrong or you can prove your point. Those are your only two options. Go for it. Go for it.
Oh, I just want to talk to Josie.
Okay, nice. I just want to point out to the chat and everyone watching before that happens that Logan refused to answer an honest, direct question.
Oh no!
And when faced with,
yeah, she was trying to railroad you. I mean, she wouldn't let you get an answer out.
Yep.
At every step of the way, she's cutting you off and muting you, and it's like they want you to answer the way they want you to answer.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, it's just okay. Let me talk to Josie because I didn't come here to be yelled at.
Right.
Have I insulted him yet?
Hell no. I mean, I could think of all kinds of things you could say. I could see you could say all sorts of bigoted things in response just to troll them and hurt their feelings, but you wouldn't stoop that low because you're not that person. And then number two, it doesn't do anything to foster a good conversation. But you see how they are. They just want to win. They just want to make you look dumb because they disagree with your opinion, or your view, your worldview.
Yep. So, but I do like Josie for the most part.
When faced with, you're never going to talk over me on the show. Just to let you know, you're muted again. When faced with the obvious implications of his claims, he refused to answer because he realized the obvious implications of what he was saying and how wrong it was. So Josie, go ahead. He's all yours.
Yeah, Logan, you're gonna get the sweetness, but don't remember. I'm gonna say this right now. I can get spicy too. It's just that I sometimes I can be the sweet one on the call. So you got me for a second, but I do want to say before you say this, the social mechanism of people calling the cops is because of a social implication, not because of a biological one. that is why the calling the cops isn't like a biological one. But go on.
Because I'm a biological
what do you
man.
want to say really quickly?
Right.
Well, let Arden know and the people in the chat. I would be happy to confront Arden on a fair space where she can't mute me and ban me and call me
keep
Logan,
crying about how you failed to
Logan.
address a question. Actually, hold on.
No. I'm talking.
One more thing, Josie, real quick before I let you go with him. Logan, if you want to say on this call, keep my name out of your fucking mouth. Because you are a fucking coward and a liar. I decided to cede the conversation to Josie, so I don't need to talk to fucking liars like you. But if you're going to say on the show, you're going to keep my name out of your fucking mouth and stop whining like a goddamn baby.
Oh my god. So brave on my.
Yeah. How brave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, how brave.
If you don't want to talk
about my co-host that way.
Where are we, Josie?
Look.
Wow. Now it's don't talk to my co-host that way.
Right. Yeah.
Now who's the whiner?
Yeah, you're rude. You're condescending. You've insulted me, but don't talk to my co-host that way.
Right.
And they're saying I'm whiny and everything. And you know what Arden is? My wife and daughter like to watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
Mm-hmm.
Arden's a queen. Arden is a queen. That is a man that is a queen.
Right. I can see that.
Yeah. Josie's a bit nicer. Let's see.
Look, Logan. First off, I want you to respect the co-host on the show here because she's a dear friend of mine. And
how about maybe after the show's over, Josie, you tell Arden how she wasn't very respectful.
Right. It goes two ways.
Yeah. It's just. She's cussing me out and calling me dishonest and saying I'm, come on, Arden. I probably know at least much about logic as you do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I know that for a fact.
I don't know Arden's qualifications.
Like, she's a dear friend. So we're gonna move on for a second, okay? On this point where I just want you to say, is there a difference between sociological?
Oh, look, I didn't see that. Matt says, I'm brave on and offline. Cool, Matt. Let's do it. Let's get together, Matt. Come on. I'll meet you halfway between Texas and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Let's see how brave you are.
Wow.
Somebody calling on the phone versus somebody like you having to like get your dick scanned before you go into the bathroom. Would you say that both those things are different?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So socially,
I just understand the point you're trying to get to.
I'm getting to the point because the question is this, Logan, and I'm gonna reverse it back a little bit so we can get clear on different things. Okay. The reason that this is important is because there's a difference between sex.
So Logan is rude as fuck, and I don't want him defending women. We don't want you. Kindly fuck off into the corona of the sun.
Ooh. Keyboard warriors.
Yep. Logan's also pretty brave for being online. Well, we can all be pretty brave online. But my point was Arden wants to have a one-sided conversation. That's what I mean when she's pretty brave. She's got the mute button. So yeah, you're pretty brave. You can I can't defend myself. Right. That's what I mean by brave.
Right, exactly.
Sex and gender, right? The difference between sex and gender. Do you agree that those two things exist?
Gender is a concept just like race.
Okay, but I answer my question. Is there a difference between sex and gender? Yes and no?
No, they're just two terms we assign to the same thing.
Okay, so do you have gender with somebody or do you have sex with somebody?
Well, you're using sex in a different way.
Why? Why? If they're the same thing, then I should be able to use those terms interchangeably with sense, correct?
No, they're polysemous.
Oh God.
Oh, okay. But so you say they're the same thing, even though that in that sentence I'm telling you right now that you can't use those two terms interchangeably, meaning that there is a distinction between the two just in language alone. I'm not even getting into the biological social construction yet. I'm just going into grammar.
Sure. Language develops, sure.
Okay, sure. So language develops. So therefore, we have to create different terms to describe different concepts because we evolve as a language and a species, and we communicate better. So when we talk about sex, we're talking about how somebody is born. If they have a penis, they have the whatever chromosomes, all the type of stuff. And
So Matt Dillahunty, Logan doesn't have sex. That's part of the problem.
Oh wow, more insults. Oh God, it's just a sign of insecurity, man. It's
Yep.
so weak to do that.
Yep. I'm waiting for. I actually had somebody defend me.
And then the gender is what you would say woman and man. So somebody who identifies as either, right? And that is how the gender is associated with, right? You don't go, that's kind of the difference between the two things. And the reason that I'm talking about the difference between gender and sex is because once you understand that there's a difference between the two concepts, then we can have the conversation. That's why there was such a disconnect at the beginning of this call, because when you said that there is a biological reality, you were using gender and sex in as the same. So therefore, when Arden asked the very basic concept of if biology has to do with you going into a bathroom, then that means that you are doing something with your penis, your chromosomes, something that you have to get, like something that you have to do before you even get in the door because it's enforced by biology, versus the fact that the example that you gave was social. So like what Arden said, a cis person, cis man, where nobody's arguing that a cis man is probably going to look phenotypically like a male. So when you go into that bathroom, the social construct of gender is kicking in, not the biological. Nobody's dick tapping you to say, oh, this person's got a penis. Now I'm going to I'm going to call the cops. No, they're calling the cops based on sight alone. Would you agree?
Yes. But
Okay,
I can look at
great.
some people. I can
So
look
there's
at
a
some
difference.
people and tell they're still a man. I could look at
Okay,
some
but you
people
sometimes you
tell they're
can't.
still a man.
But Logan, I'm
Well,
not even going to
women
go into
can't.
intersex conditions.
I think I hate when they bring this up. I think
The intersex.
Yeah, what my answer should have been. What did she ask? She said,
Can you tell the difference when a man enters in or a woman? I think is what it was.
yeah.
And you were saying, yeah, I can. And then she was disagreeing and saying, but you can't. You can't tell the
Yeah.
difference.
Oh, I should have said something else. I can't. Hell, I'll back up and find out.
Yeah.
Versus the fact that when Arden asked the very basic concept of if biology has to do with you going into a bathroom, then that means that you are doing something with your penis, your chromosomes, something that you have to get, like something that you have to do before you even get in the door because it's enforced by biology, versus the fact that the example that you gave was social. So like what Arden said, a cis man, where nobody's arguing that a cis man is probably going to look phenotypically like a male. So when you go into that bathroom, the social construct of gender is kicking in, not the biological. Nobody's dick tapping you to say, oh, this person's got a penis. Now I'm going to
look at her laughing like they're like little teenagers. Like, ooh, she said tapping his dick. Ooh, got him good that time.
So here's what I should have said. I should have asked her, although I probably wouldn't have gotten an answer. What are the social cues? What are they? If a lesbian, a butch lesbian, and I think they use that term themselves, so I think some of them are okay with it. I don't know if there's another term for it, but if they're all looking like a man, dressed like a man, socially dressed like a man, are those the social cues they're going off of, or are they going off their body build, the way they walk, their hips?
It's almost like they look down on social construct. It's almost like, I don't know. It's sort of like if it's based on social, then it's wrong. Like, do they understand that that's kind of what runs society?
Right.
And
exactly.
and they're trying to change the social paradigm, right? I guess they're trying to say, well, there should be no men or women bathrooms. It should just be bathrooms. And then they're ignoring the fact that, you know, in our culture, you know, there's going to be a lot of pushback. No one wants to see their daughter in the bathroom and then some big man walk in there.
Right.
You know, and say, oh, but you can't pat them down and dick tap them.
Yeah.
So just let them in there, right? Like,
Right.
do they understand that, you know, there's a reason we have social rules.
Right.
Unspoken rules, like I was saying earlier.
Well, it's kind of like a gun. You always assume it's loaded.
Right. Right.
You know, and the
And,
woman
you know,
walking down the street that sees me 20 feet behind her, she assumes the gun is loaded.
Right. And, you know, it's like, well, if he identifies as a woman or vice versa, then that's all that really matters. It's like whatever's in their imagination is
Yep.
what matters. And how do we know that they're lying or not?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I do think there will be some men that will abuse this. I do.
Yeah.
Because that's what people do. People abuse things.
And, you know, maybe the way I would maybe approach it is to just kind of play stupid with them and just be like, yeah, you know, you got a point, but, you know, I'm just not convinced that would be a good idea, because I mean, I would just really hate for my daughter to get raped by a guy who just went in the bathroom because he says he's a woman.
Yep.
He identifies as a woman and it turns out he was lying. I mean, that's possible, right?
Yep.
And that fear, it just bothers me. But you've got a point, but at the same time, how do I get rid of this fear?
Yep. We'll find out how self-centered they are.
Yeah.
The cops. No, they're calling the cops based on sight alone. Would you agree?
The sight that I'm a man.
Yes. But
Okay,
I can look at
great.
some people. I can
So
look
there's
at
a
some people
difference.
and tell they're still a man. I could look at
Okay,
some
but you
people
sometimes you
tell they're
can't.
still a man.
Logan, I'm
Well,
not even gonna
women
go into
can.
intersex conditions. I'm gonna. What do you mean,
Good,
woman
because they're not
can?
trans.
Are you talking about beard? You're talking about bearded
no,
trans
no.
men?
No. I'm
Do,
saying.
do you know that
they-
trans men
oh
exist,
my God.
right?
You won't let me talk. Oh my God.
Well, I'm just letting you know. I'm just trying to clarify what you're saying. I'm trying to clarify what you're saying.
About women can tell.
No,
About
that sometimes you can't tell because do you know that trans men exist, right? Do you know what a trans man is?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
it's
a trans
biological
man
female that wants to be a male.
that transitioned into a male. Okay, so do you know that trans men can grow full beards, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a trans man or a cis man? Do you understand that exists? So what would you do in a situation? What would you do in that situation if a bearded man walked?
Oh, so this is good. They think they're going to catch me on something.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Dillahunty, putting words in my mouth again. I can look at some people and tell they're still a man. Yes, I can. And women are even better at that. And there is science to back this up.
Yeah, that's right.
They've done studies where they take people walking videos and they just basically eliminate everything except lines and dots, like representing their hands, representing their elbows, representing their hips. And women score better at saying, that's a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's a woman. That's a man. So, you know, I'm sitting there trying to use science and then they're just shutting me down.
Oh, yeah.
And Matt's an idiot. Matt's always an idiot in the chat, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Walks into a male bathroom and they appear man, they've transitioned into a man, they've done everything to do with their manliness, they probably drive a truck, whatever you want to say a man is in your mind's eye. They walk into a boy's bathroom, then are you going to dick tap them to just make sure that it's biologically accurate, or are you just going to let them use the bathroom without calling the cops?
Oh, I don't care. I'm
Okay,
all
so
for
why do you but you said that.
Yes, I don't care.
Perfect answer.
I don't care I hate using the words. I don't use the word cis, but I'll say a biological woman that is not trans walked into my bathroom, I wouldn't care.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. For one thing, I just don't have a problem with it. You know.
Right. Right.
Two, if they tried to do something, good odds I can whoop them.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
I don't think they'd want to mess with my old ugly ass, but
Yeah, right.
So they thought they were going to catch me on something, but see, that's the thing. My call isn't necessarily if 100% of biological women said we're okay with this, I wouldn't have an issue.
Right. Exact. Yeah. Right. 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 Right.
But I know at least 50% do have an issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
That it should be illegal. So why is it legal for the trans man to go into the boys' bathroom or men's bathroom than the woman going into the woman's bathroom?
I never said that.
Right.
They keep putting words in my mouth.
Exactly. They comes with baggage. They have a lot of baggage when you came in there. They think you're a theist. They have all these assumptions. You're a bigot, this and that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I would assume if in any state or city or whatever, any legal jurisdiction, if it's illegal for a man to go in the woman's restroom, it's probably illegal for the woman to go in the men's.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fair.
That's right.
Okay, and this was what I was trying to get into with that other person that I can't say their name. But as I would like to thank Hawk to it in the chat for stating that I don't get a chance to speak. And if it's your show,
Stop crying and make your goddamn point. If you cry and bitch or moan one more fucking time, I'm gonna drop your ass like a hot rock.
Logan, you are lucky that I'm being this patient because I don't cry about not talking. Let's have the conversation.
So yeah, notice how Arden couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
It's a queen, and I can't find it. They may have deleted it, or I don't know why it's not showing up. But yeah, this person named Hawk Tua said it would be nice if Logan could get a word in.
Yeah. They probably got rid of that one.
Yeah. I am so brainwashed.
Exactly. I want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it then. You keep talking about it.
Okay.
Logan, if you don't,
here we go.
Just talk about it, please.
Here we go. Some women, I don't know the percentage, do not want a penis in their bathroom. It doesn't matter.
I don't care about that.
Prove it. Bring what meaningful. No, sorry, I don't care about individual. Bring some meaningful percentage of women that are objecting to trans women in women's bathrooms. Prove it.
Give me a meaningful percentage of women that approve of trans women coming to the bathroom.
Women are the largest group of people who approve of trans rights.
Yeah.
So Scott, what is meaningful? What would be a meaningful percentage?
Right. Well, they can't define anything.
Because trans are extremely small percentage.
Exactly.
They think they're meaningful. So if I found 5% women that do not want a penis in their bathroom, is that meaningful?
Right, exactly.
And I actually did look up stuff. I doubt I could get it to Arden. I don't know if he has a email or something, but yeah, I did find surveys that it's 50 to 60%.
Yeah. In fact, Logan, I'm a trans woman. I'm a trans woman, and never one time, and I've used a lot of freaking bathrooms, airports, the Capitol. I've been all over the place, even early in my transition, and I've never had a woman one time in my entire transition over the last 5 years tell me that I don't belong in that bathroom when I walked in the door. And I can guarantee you right now that you probably wouldn't even know that I'm trans.
No, not at a glance. They do better than Arden. But again, it's a matter of integrity. That's what it boils down to. Matt Dillahunty, women don't want a penis in their bathroom. Too fucking bad.
Right.
You don't get to know what someone else's genitals are, whether they're in the bathroom with you or not. Wow.
And I mean, it depends on the culture that you're from. Like, I was just kind of looking stuff up while we were talking, and there's an article in Medium that talks about, would you share a bathroom with a transgender woman? And they found that, like in Brazil, it's a bigger problem maybe than other places so far. So it may just depend on culture too.
How'd you see? We got somebody else in the chat. Do I masturbate after you take the $32,523 and branded Omnibar, the gray scabs Jesus puts on your smalls on you shall squeak, should make your masturbating even funnier. Squeaky, neato.
Whatever. Is that a troll?
I guess. And then they said, enjoy your toy nya 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 show. Bye. Okay. Whatever. I'm glad I got somebody coming.
That's right. He's helping the algorithm.
There's a
Yeah.
lot. There's a lot going into that. It could be. They've done studies that women can tell.
So yeah, they've gone back to Josie has said that they go into bathrooms all the time and nobody challenges them. So I'm pointing out that some people are too scared to say something.
Yeah.
Men from women just by little dot when they walk.
No, Logan,
And-
listen. We just
No, that's what they say. They said no.
Yeah, no.
That's false.
That's
It's not
wrong.
false. I will find it for them if they want me to.
went
Oh my
over
gosh.
that. We just went over that. Because we literally talked about the bearded trans man going into the bathroom, and you said you wouldn't care.
That's me. That's me.
Yes,
Right.
I don't care if
Neither
they're
would
a
I
man.
care.
I don't
I
care if
wouldn't
they're a
care
man.
either.
I don't care if they're a woman. I don't care if they're a trans person. It wouldn't bother me at all.
Not at all.
I'm all for unisex bathrooms,
Right.
but a lot of people aren't, men and women.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to tell.
But I don't dictate to women. It doesn't matter if I could tell. It doesn't matter. Oh, if a woman came into the men's room, I wouldn't care.
Okay, but
But
why
see,
did you
here's
say
the
it needs to be
thing.
illegal?
Okay. You guys want to?
I never said it was, and I thought it should be illegal. I said it was, and apparently I'm mistaken.
Yeah, right.
Never said I said, oh, this should be illegal. But
Oh God. Yeah, they're putting words in your mouth.
yeah, I don't disagree with it being illegal, I guess. I don't know.
You say we want to protect rights or even give rights to people that are 1% of the population. Thank you for letting me talk. Okay, if it's 2% of the female population that does not want a penis in their bathroom, shouldn't we protect them too? That's logic, by the way.
That is not logic. You're so
No,
fucking
that's not.
stupid. It's painful.
That's not.
Arden can't shut up.
You can't
Arden
shut up.
cannot shut up.
No, because you had a point there. That was a really good point.
Queen.
Yep.
Logan, it's not. And
Oh my
we're gonna cut this short because listen.
Yeah, right.
Because we can't really get past this conversation. This is why it's getting so confrontational, Logan. Because you don't believe in the concept between the difference between gender and sex. And the fact of the matter is, like, you are focusing in on a very, very minor little thing, which is like, I don't want a penis in the bathroom. Well, the thing is, when I go to the bathroom, I'm not freaking flailing my freaking body parts all over the place. I just go to the stall and I pee and I leave. Just like I'm sure that happens with you too. You go to the urinal or you go to the stall and you go and you leave.
So
Like,
I
the
would
thing is,
ask them,
the obsession.
how are you going to
people have-
convince most people then? How are you going to convince most people in the culture to accept it then? What's your strategy? If it's a cultural thing, if it's just a social thing rather,
Right.
then how are you going to change the society? Because think about it. Trump won.
Yep.
Trump won the election for whether you're a Trump lover or not.
Oh no, I'm not.
Right. And the thing about it is most analysts, Democrat, Republican, they lost because they were focused too much, not necessarily Kamala Harris, but the Democratic Party or the left in general focused too much on the woke ideology, this transgender thing.
Yep.
That's why they lost. Very simple. Yep. Most Americans are not very they're not that complicated to understand. Most Americans understand that, I would rather focus on, jobs, my money, the geopolitical thing, And their perception, whether it's true or not, the perception was that the left was not focused on those sort of issues. You know, it's kind of like Bill Clinton used to say, the economy's stupid. You know, like, focus on the economy. They don't care about this woke stuff. So the question to them is, how are you therefore going to change the social paradigm? Because just sitting here yelling at me and shutting me down ain't doing it.
Right.
All you're doing is giving the right or even the centrist people, you know, more fuel for the fire.
Oh, I like where it froze it here. I should screenshot that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been binging a lot of stuff, and there's a well-known lesbian over in Britain, and she, you know, she's about our age, and she talked about that. She said, look, the trans movement is going about it all wrong. So we gay people, we didn't come in and say society needs to adapt to us. We wanted to adapt to society. And the trans people are saying, no, society needs to adapt to us. So this was a gay person saying, you know, they're going about it wrong. You know, you're the underdogs. You need to just say, here we are. How are we going to integrate in your society? How are you going to allow us to be ourselves and not cause a stir?
Right. And, you know, transgender, like you said, there's such a small percentage of the population that most people don't understand it. Most people don't care about it.
Right.
And even though transgender people have been with us since day one, I mean, that's fine. I don't think anybody's out here really giving a crap one way or the other. Most people. Now, you've always got bigots and you've got the small. And it seems like what the woke progressive people do is they focus on the very small fringe problems and trying to make it into a problem that's really not there yet. You know, and that's what people resent. I mean, for right or wrong, that's what people resent, is they don't want, you know, you changing their language, you know, forcing them to use pronouns, forcing them to think a certain way about things. You know, for right or wrong, regardless of where you fall on the issue, I just think that most Americans don't want that, and that's exactly why the MAGA won this time resoundingly. That's what did it. I mean, that trumped anything else that Kamala Harris and the Democrats were really talking about. I mean, that's just the facts, in my opinion.
Yep. I mean, I've had conservative people say that. They were like, we're tired of having this crap shoved down our throat.
Right. Right. It's kind of like the way that maybe to feel about it is like, what if the right kept shoving down religion down your throat?
Yep. Exactly.
All day long, every day. You'd get tired of that crap.
Exactly.
And regardless of whether Trump was running on that or not, if the conservative right were in the background just always pushing religious, you know, Christianity down your throat, I mean, you would definitely, you know, not want to hear that shit. You know, and then of course the right could make the same argument they're making. Oh, well, the society, you know, you're trying to, you know, it's a social construct, you know, you're trying to make it to where Christianity can't be part of the society and the social construct. How dare you?
Well,
you know,
and that's something I brought up to several people. You know, I'm an atheist, but there are things that I regard more important than atheism.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is the First Amendment.
Right.
And freedom of religion. And if you have somebody whose religion says, you know, very conservative religion, I'm trying to think of an example, Amish maybe, that Mennonite maybe, since they're more public, that it is not allowable to be in the restroom with a biological man, and it is not allowable for them to say a biological man is a woman. So who has the right there? you
right.
know?
Right. You know, and I'm all about, you know, that's the libertarian side to me, is to say that I think everyone should have the right to live the way they want, speak the way they want, whatever, so long as it doesn't prevent others from doing the same. So it's kind of like I get to swing my arm around as much as I want, as long as I don't hit your nose, you know.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, you know, it's a more freedom is kind of like in the hierarchy here. You know, the freedom comes first. You know, I would love that, you know, state and religion were totally separate. You know, that would be my thing. But at the same time, I think that people should be free to express themselves regardless. And really that goes to the state and religion separation, that, you know, you're not imposing your religion on the populace, you know, or your non-religion onto the populace. Like it's more important that we have freedom.
Right. Exactly. So I don't think there's too much here. I think
Yeah.
I think Arden's about ready to go into a rant, and I'm not going to listen to that again.
No.
About going into the bathroom with somebody next to them and wondering what's in their pants is weird. It's strange. I don't
So what?
understand why that matters so much. It shouldn't.
That's
we shouldn't be
subjective.
dictating-
Yeah, because they think you're weird. Some people think you're weird, you know?
Right, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. You know, you could use the same logic against them, and that's when you know that they've got a low value opinion.
Yep.
Our laws based on somebody's creepy want to know what's in the pants of the stranger standing next to them.
See, it's not a want to know what's in their pants. It's that a good portion of the time they do know what's in their pants.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's not a good way to legislate policy. If we decided to say, oh, this small portion of the people in the country, let's say Jehovah Witnesses, they think it's completely wrong and creepy that people do blood transfusions. Should we end all blood transfusions because a Jehovah's Witness decides that I don't want to be associated with people that do blood transfusions? It's icky. No.
False analogy.
False analogy.
They
For real.
can't. The Jehovah's Witnesses are perfectly free to deny a blood transfusion.
That's right. And they're not even involved in politics. They don't even want to be.
Yeah.
I used to be a Jehovah Witness,
Yeah,
so I know. One of the things that you cannot do is get involved in voting and stuff like that. That's against their religion.
And you know, I actually kind of agree with that.
Right.
Because, well, I mean, if you're going to be a biblical literalist, Paul says that there's no one gets into government without God's approval. So you don't have to vote. God's going to put whoever he wants in there.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, the authorities are there by the grace of God. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And you know, Jesus said that, you know, we are in the world, but we're no part of the world. So their only work is to spread the gospel, not to really tell the state how to operate and stuff. God's got all that under control. Render to Caesar what's due Caesar, but God.
Right. So I think maybe Josie goes into kind of a rant too about what's going on up at the Capitol, and I'm just like, that's not what I came here for.
Right. Not stop blood transfusions and hurt people because some small portion of society decides that it's not important.
She asked me a
what
question.
rocks there that
Oh my gosh.
that's what rocks their boat. So Logan, maybe we just have a different belief on how government should be run.
You didn't say anything about that.
I didn't even enter this to exactly talk about government.
I know, but that's what you said illegal. You said the word illegal. Logan, did
Oh man, they're trying to find you and straw man you.
Yeah.
They want to straw man you so bad.
Did you not say the word illegal?
For
that's government.
yes,
What makes things illegal?
Yeah, well,
government.
Okay, but I was told nobody's checking your parts, and I was like, well, yeah, if I walked into a bathroom.
But you said it should be illegal.
No.
But you said it should be illegal, therefore the government has to get involved to enforce.
I think I said it is illegal.
No, it's not. It's not illegal.
No, it's not illegal.
So I'm mistaken.
It's not illegal anywhere.
There are a handful of states where it's illegal, but it wasn't
That's
illegal
beside the
for
point.
all of history before.
It doesn't matter. That's not your point.
Yeah.
You were just under the false impression that it was illegal everywhere, but maybe you're wrong. But that even if it was or wasn't, that doesn't change anything from what your point was.
Right. That there are women that don't want you in there. It's their
Right.
safe space, not a man's.
For that.
Yeah, they're trying to make it illegal.
Well-
Like there isn't even full blanket bathroom bans that are outside of government buildings, right? So the reality is,
Matt
like,
called me
even
a
in
liar.
the construct that we live currently in this day and age, there is no blanket bathroom ban. So therefore, there is no illegality to it. So right now, we're trying to create some people are trying to create where it is blanket ban across the country. Therefore, it would use tax dollars to enforce a stupid thing that we've been doing throughout time. So I'm trying to fight against government trying to do bullshit laws that cause government resource.
Object to. They don't, by the way. Those
So yeah, Arden just goes on a rant. She says, "I'm going to be your bitch," and I really didn't know when she said that. She says, "I'm going to mute you, and you're going to be my bitch." I didn't know.
Wow.
It's like, okay, if I just go ahead and close out the connection. You know, I didn't know whether staying was better or closing out the connection. I just felt it was a losing situation either way.
Yeah. They just wanted to have the last word and then kind of abuse you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like with me, like, on Facebook, I've come to the conclusion that I block early and I block often. That's kind of my rule of thumb right now. It's like a lot, 'cause, a lot of people will start to disabuse you and will start to really get toxic with you. And I used to hang in there with them, partly in hopes that things would change, but also because I don't want them saying, "Oh, he ran away because he couldn't handle it," or whatever. And now I've come to realize, you know what? It doesn't really matter what they think.
Right.
What's more important is that you don't stand around and just get abused like that. It's not good mentally. It's not good for anything. You're not really accomplishing anything. So now I've got a new policy.
I used to pride myself that I didn't block people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Me too.
probably the past 2 years, I've blocked so many people. It is just, I know if I don't block them, some of them, that I'm going to be drawn in and waste my time on them.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be able to resist.
And it takes away your peace. It's
Yeah.
And I've become, I like to think that I'm evolving, psychologically and everything to where, I'm taking I'm more focused on just living life positively as possible. And anything that I can cut out of my life that's sort of toxic and not really serving me, then it should be done often and early.
Right. Yeah, I'm just getting too old for the bullshit.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. It comes with age.
So Arden said, show her a, I hate to use that word, but it's hard. Show her a thing. This is a 2023 poll. You see Stanford, you see Arizona State University, you see University of Houston. So joint polling thing. And they polled, says blue California, red Texas, and purple Arizona. Okay, so I guess they tried to get 3 different types of political makeups. So you go down to here. Should transgender people be able to choose which bathroom to use? Whoop, too big. All right. Arizona women, no, 51%. California women, 41%. Texas, 60%. So what is a meaningful percentage?
Right. There you go. And it would be good when you call into those shows if you do have that kind of statistic to read off. That way, you can kind of shut them down when they try to come with, well, you're just pulling this stuff out of your ass. You're lying. You're being a dishonest interlocutor. No. I've got evidence to back this up. And my point is not about me personally necessarily, but it's about most people,
Right. Yeah, it's not even about me. Like I said, I don't care. Let's have unisex bathrooms. I wouldn't care.
Right. Right. I wouldn't care. But I wouldn't want, my daughter with a man in there because of her fears. And,
Yep. Indeed. The one last week, Arden told somebody that they had mountains and mountains of evidence supporting them, and I commented in their in the comment section after it was already broadcast. I was like, "What is this mountains and mountains of evidence? Where is it?"
Right.
And nobody could provide me with a link, or
No.
nobody did. I've been trying to read. I used to read all the time, and I kind of got out of it when I got a smartphone. But I have 2 books. One's by Deborah Soh, SOH.
Mhm.
She is a neurologist and sex researcher. She left that field to be a journalist, but she has all these chapters that are based on myths, like gender is a social construct, and all these myths that she counters. And I'm like, okay, I have Arden, who I don't know anything about, and I have a neurologist and a sex researcher saying Arden's wrong. So
Mhm.
just on their qualifications, whose word should I lean toward?
Right, the expert opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, there's also a woman named Helen Joyce. She's over in England, and she has a website called Sex Matters, and she's very aggressive toward this. And she's written a book too, and I'm going to read that. But I hope to read that book, and when I finish it, I want to do like a summary of the book, of the Deborah Soh's book.
And one of the things that I kind of feel too is that, and this is kind of hard for a lot of people to accept, is that sometimes, we have to be honest with each other and look at the facts. Sometimes science itself can be, the scientific community, meaning not science as a method, but science as a scientist, you might say, can be swayed by funding, by political activists, especially when their funding depends on that. I mean, I think Sabina Hoffenfelder talks about this. She's one of the people that kind of point this out, that unfortunately in the scientific community, even when it comes to things like climate change, some things are downplayed or exaggerated because of funding, because of political reasons. Now her view is that climate change is a real thing. Human-made climate change is real, and it does have a big effect, but it's actually worse than what a lot of the scientists are actually promoting.
Huh.
And but then when it comes to other things, like other topics, people won't get funded at all unless you go along with the political views of academia, because academia usually falls in line with leftists. Like, when you go on campus, Bill Maher talks about this all the time. They'll boo you down if you talk against Hamas, or they'll boo you down if you talk about, against transgender. Just question it.
Oh yeah.
Just any kind of question, they'll boo you out. They'll smother you out, and it's because a lot of their funding is based on special interests that have interest in those sort of things. So, and we can't shy away. And I mean, people don't like to talk about, especially if you like science like I do. You don't like to hear that because one of the things we like to say is that we appeal to the consensus, and it's like a really strong argument for us. Like, say, suppose you're arguing with a creationist and you bring up the consensus on evolution,
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great tool. You can really bring out the evidence and things of that nature. But sometimes we make this argument from authority, which they are real authority, so it's not like a fallacy. But
Exactly. Yeah.
unfortunately, sometimes creationists have a point when they say, well, not all consensus is necessarily true because they're influenced by funding and things of that nature, which is very true. And so it's kind of a tricky thing. Now, I'm not saying that I deny evolution at all. Like, I believe in naturalism and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? It's like it's one of those things where Now they have taken that, these gender equality or these gender activists, transgender activists rather, they will now use that tool to argue against someone like you or me. And they'll say, hey, the consensus of science right now is on our side. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's a perfect example. He's a big spokesman, and he's very, very woke. And so people like Bill Maher try to challenge him and say, look, but you know, a man, a male, is a man, and a female is a woman. I mean, this is science.
Right.
You know, we're talking about gametes. We're talking about, you know, what identifies biology from a man or a female from a male, and these words are sort of synonymous. And of course, Neil deGrasse Tyson will say, yeah, but you know, the consensus of science is that there's evidence that promotes the idea that actually that's not true. It's sort of like a range, you know, it's kind of like what do they say?
Spectrum.
A spectrum, you know, there's a spectrum. It's bullshit, you know. And it's like, no, it's really not. It's kind of binary, you know.
It is. It's exactly binary.
You know, and if you want to point to intersex or you want to point to these other things, well, now you're talking about, you know, a very small, rare condition. You know, those aren't the rule. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the generality, you know, the general concept. And so they use that. They'll start using consensus science as a way to kind of downplay you and say you have no right to really feel it's a semantic thing, you know.
Even though they were arguing semantics.
Right. Of course.
And I don't know. I may have skipped or I may have missed it. Josie brought up intersex, and I may have talked under her. I said, intersex is not trans.
Right.
They try to bring that up. It's like, intersex is not trans.
Not at all. Not at all. Because even an intersex person can be a male or a female.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just we're going through a shift, and the woke people had their chance. Now they're going out kicking and screaming because our society is not ready for that right now. Nobody's really buying into that, right or wrong. You know, for me, it's all sort of subjective. Because politics for me is really all about values, and it's really hard to change people's values. You know, it gets very emotional. It gets very hard to talk about those things.
Yeah, it can. Yeah.
You know.
You know, thankfully I've got some friends from high school that I still hang with, and one of them's very conservative, one of them's very liberal. I'm more liberal than conservative, but as you know, I do have some conservative values.
Yeah.
So we get together camping, and we discuss all kinds of crap, and we don't get mad at each other.
Right. And then we come from a different generation. Like when we were growing up, people could talk about things openly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a big deal. But these days, everybody is so, quote unquote, triggered or, offended, or you're not providing a safe space to talk about differing opinions. I don't know if you watch, there's this, street epistemology, and you got Peter Boghossian, and he definitely talks a lot about the transgender issue on college campuses. And just watching a lot of his videos will just kind of like, you'll be like, wow. And I mean, these people get violent. It's like these faculty, I saw this video the other day. He was like just doing street epistemology about transgender issues, and just asking questions. He wasn't making any statements, and he would just put the question down in these signs on the ground, and people would play the game. It's like a little thought game.
Yeah.
And people could participate if they wanted or not. Well, the faculty got on the roof and just started flipping them off and yelling at them and saying, "Get the fuck out of here, you bigot." And he was like, "Look, would you guys like to come down and actually have a conversation?" And they were like, no, fuck you, get off of our campus. And then finally they all came down, and man, they just dogpiled him and wouldn't let him get a word out, and he called him bigot. And they would ask questions, and as soon as he starts answering, somebody else would jump in and they boot him down. And it was just very infuriating. It's like, and like he was trying to explain what he was doing. It's like, this is street epistemology. Basically, I'm just trying to ask questions to see how confident you are and how you came to these conclusions about gender.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't stand the questions. They just, they were.
I haven't seen that particular one, but I've seen him, like I said, once I started going down this rabbit trail of trans issues. He has an interview with Helen Joyce, and he actually does that game with Helen Joyce and 2 others. But I've seen some of his others. I've seen one on campus and one on a stage. But he just goes up to people. You've got somebody on strongly agree, and you got somebody on strongly disagree, and he'll start on one side and he'll say, why do you strongly agree? And he'll let them talk for quite a while. And then he'll go to the other person. He'll say, why do you do this? And they'll state. And then they'll go back to the first person and he'll say, does anything they say sway you in a different way? And sometimes people go, I think I'll go to agree instead of strongly agree, And that's all he's doing.
Right. That's it. He's not trying to inform your opinion or anything like that,
I mean, even though I know his position, he demonstrates that with his interview with Helen Joyce. When he does those things, he doesn't sit there and argue with people. He just talks to them.
Same thing with Christianity. He'll talk to religious people and do the same game. And I think he's an atheist, He's the one that came out with that book, Street Epistemology,
Making atheists, creating atheists, something like that.
Yeah, how to create an atheist or whatever.
Yeah, I read that when it first came out.
Yeah, and he even said he really didn't like that title, but it was just the publishers wanted something a little more provocative, and so they did, and they'll oftentimes do that. But he is an atheist, and he's a skeptical person, period. And so, but I think I like him. I like his approach, the non-confrontational approach, and it's just so funny how you see the leftists react so angrily. They get so angry and emotional. It's just, they don't understand the disservice they do to themselves and their cause by acting that way.
And that's the problem. I'm wondering where my place is.
Yeah.
I actually I don't know if you saw my post about it, but I got kicked out of the local group here where I live, of their Facebook page, for doing basically the same thing. Not being rude, not saying anything, just stating my opinion. Oh, people, you're upsetting people. We're getting messages that you're upsetting people. I think they're calling me a bigot. How am I upsetting people?
Yeah.
And this isn't a popular position in the atheist thing, and so I don't know where my place is.
That's the thing about a lot of the atheist community. It's like, it's almost like these days it's turned into, well, you also have to be an extreme left, individual as well. It's not enough that, because we used to always say being an atheist is just to say, I don't believe in deities.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in that.
Right.
It has nothing to do with anything else. No other topics. That's all it is. But now people like Matt Dillahunty has pulled in all these other political ideologies that have to go along with it. And everybody's sort of fell in line with that. And, like with Skeptic Haven, there's this channel, and they've got a Facebook group. And I started doing like a show when I was kind of like exploring conservative values, because I'm more of a centrist person. I'm like, I've got some liberal views and I've got some right, leaning views like this one we're talking about. And we discuss those things, on the channel, the discussion. And a lot of people just block me. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not really, I didn't understand that. Like, but you guys are an atheist community. What does that have to do with it? Oh, no. You're not falling in line with our values. You know,
So you're
you're
saying
not.
on Skeptic Haven they started blocking you?
Yeah, a lot of people from that group. But now they've kind of let me in, and they want me to do
Okay.
stuff. But yeah, so it can be tricky, man. It's
Yeah, I'm subscribed to their channel, but I don't think I'll hardly watch everything. I do see this Dr. Ben. Who is Dr. Ben?
right.
What are they a doctor of? Is this like Dr. Laura? Do you remember her?
Yeah, Dr. Laura.
She wasn't even a doctor.
Right. Yeah, I'm just more like with my channel, I just like to explore all kinds of different views and
Yeah.
you've seen me. I do steel man debates all the time. So sometimes I'll debate atheists as a theist or a Christian,
Uh,
even though I'm not. And then sometimes I'll do the opposite. So I just like the idea of stepping out of my own personal view and trying to argue the other side from their view,
right.
just to make sure I understand what the view is.
Yeah.
Because it's fun to do that. I think it's healthy, it's fun, and it kind of keeps me grounded.
Yep. Yeah. All right, man. I promised my wife I'd try to get up early in the morning, so
Yeah, I hear you, man. I got to get ready to go too.
she's working at home tomorrow, and I said if I get up early enough, you want me to get you breakfast? And she said, yeah. I'm like, okay. I appreciate you getting on, and I think Sophie might have already left, but I let her know I
Yeah,
appreciate her coming on and talking to us. And
yeah.
she
She's
didn't.
my partner on my show. So
Yeah, I know Sophie is.
if you ever want to come through and jump in and join us, you're more than welcome, of course.
Yeah. Well, last week, whenever you had Victor on,
Yeah.
that
That was
that
last week.
that's it. That's up my alley. That topic.
Yeah,
But you already had 3 people on, and then you said you're going to let Victor on, and I thought the max was 4, so I didn't come on. I didn't
yeah.
ask.
I upgraded the
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I upgraded the StreamYard, so I think I'm able to get more people to jump
Okay.
in. So if
All
you
right.
want to jump in, feel free. And usually we do biblical topics, like we were doing the West Huff thing
Yeah.
for a while, and talking about doubt in the Bible and stuff like that. So just whenever we do that, you're more than free to jump in.
All right. Cool. Now I know.
Yep, you got it, man.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, brother. We'll see you later.
Later.
All right.